Hello guys, Joel's here and welcome back to Mystery Lake. Today we are with another new deck. It's a non-GX deck, which are kind of my favorite in this time of the year for this meta that we have, because you have a bunch of very highly priced and the costly, expensive if you wish, cards, and everybody's playing those. I'm talking about the Reshiram, Charizard mainly, but even the Pikakrom is still there, and all of everybody is playing those decks. And and as usual, when these things happen, if you find some decks, some non-GX decks who can rival with those in terms of damages and speed and everything, then you're in a really good spot. And this is one of the deck, together with the Blacephalon, maybe this is one of the deck that can compete with those, and that would be thanks to this guy over here, the Vikavolt, which is also one of my favorite for as a Pokemon them itself. In the in Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, I've always had one in my team. Not to play competitively, in VGC, I mean, but in my team for the story, for the regular run through, how do you go, walk through the game, I always had applicable. So this guy is extremely good, not really for the stealth body attack ability, sorry, because okay, it's nice to have, especially against those decks that play like that one fighting in Pokemon. That could be, for example, Zapdos, or the Zapdos deck. They play the Buzzwole, or the Machamp, Marshadow Machamp, or there's also the Silvally GX with the fighting memory. So there are some fighting types that are walking around here and there. There is no fist fighting deck, uh, like you will not find that easily a fighting deck. Maybe you can see the Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, Hitmontop deck, but it's not very good, and which means that you most likely are not going to many problem against that. But in that case, the ability can help. But the main things, the strong point of this guy is this electric cannon attack. Because if you read the description, you may discard all lightning energy, and this attack deals 100 damage more, that add up to the 120 base damage, which with the for example, with the choice band, it could get up to 250 damages for a non-GX Pokemon. It's huge. It's huge. It can one shot pretty much everything, with the right assistance from, for example, the Shrine of Punishment. If you are facing what's his name, the Reshiram Charizard itself, that has 270 HP, and but with the Shrine of Punishment, with only one turn, well, actually two turns from the Shrine of Punishment, you will still be able to KO. So it's amazing that the non-GX that can deal the non-GX Pokemon can deal these damages. It has two problems though, and of course one is the fact that it has stage 2, so you require rare candy most of the time, and also the cost of the attack is quite high. And also to deal 220 damage, you need to discard all of the energy card attached to this guy. But for this problem, well, there is no solution to the stage 2 problem. You just need to have the rare candy. You just need to find the rare candy whenever. But for the drawbacks of the attacks drawback, then the Charjabug here will come in rescue, because of this ability, the battery ability. Once during your turn, you may attach this card from your end to one of your Vikavolt or Vikavolt GX, and this card provides 2 lightning energy. So you don't need 4 lightning energies. You actually need 2 Charjabugs, basically, or 2 Charjabugs and 2 lightning energy, in any combination anyway. And yeah, so this is extremely helpful, because you are playing, of course, 4 copies of Charjabug and 4 copies of the Vikavolt, and whenever you deal the extra damages, you discard the Charjabugs, and you can get them back. You don't need to find them in the deck sometimes, but you can even get them back from the discard pile, and we are going to see how. So that this Charjabug is truly amazing, and it's the main reason why this Vikavolt can work. Why this deck can work is not only for the Vikavolt, and actually it's mainly for the Charjabug, because otherwise this attack cost, without any acceleration, without any energy acceleration for the lightning type, because there is not, except for there is none except for the Tapu Koko Prism Star. But this attack cost, and this secondary effect without any energy acceleration would be very difficult to fulfill. But thanks to the Charjabug, that is easily doable. And to complete the 4-4-4 line, evolutionary line, we have 4 Grabbins. But the important thing that I would like to point out is that we have 2 different Grabbin. This Grabbin here was the one coming from the... We have 3 copies of this Grabbin, which is the one coming from the Broken Bond. And this is mainly for this attack here, because if we have it at the first turn, we can do... And maybe we have already somehow we have already a Vikavolt and a rare candy. We are missing the Charjabug. Then we can do electrical signal, attack it with electrical signal, get the 2 Charjabug, hope that our Grabbin survived at the opponent's turn, and then evolve it and attach the Charjabug and straight up attack. It's quite fast. It can be quite fast. The problem is that you don't always have the Vikavolt and the rare candy in your first hand, of course. But this is, of course, so this is the main line. The main point of the deck is the column on which this deck rests is this 4-4-4 line of Grabbin, Charjabug, and Vikavolt. And we have also this Grabbin which dealing just 20 damages. And if you cannot see why I'm playing one copy of this, then it means that you are not that you don't follow my Twitch channel, because it happened live to attack with the Vikavolt and with the choice band attached and deal 250 damages to a Reshiram Charizard without having any shrine, and I took the KO the next turn with this dude, because it deals 20 damages. So it was exactly what I needed, from 250 to 270. So the reason why we're playing this guy is exactly to deal those 20 damages in very not common common scenarios, but it does his damage. It does 20 damages, which can be useful to get such KOs like the one on Reshiram Charizard. And it was amazing. It was a huge moment. It was a peak, getting KOing the Reshiram Charizard with the Grabbin. That was amazing. So for the rest, we have mainly consistency card. So the Dedenne, of course, we have 2 copies of the Dedenne, which allows you to discard your hand and draw 6 cards. That is just for consistency. The Tapu Koko as well allows us to attach an energy from the discard pile to one of our Pokemon, actually to 2 of our Pokemon. The Mew just protects the Pokemon on our bench Pokemon, and the Jirachi. Which is, of course, the old friend that we can find in pretty much every deck. Nowadays a bit less, because we don't play normally. You don't see the Jirachi being played in the fire decks because they have much more resources. But in all the others, is still there. And in this deck, the Jirachi's say that is vital would not be enough. Because as I was saying before, you have a problem, which is that you rely on the rare candy, and this guy is the easiest way to find rare candy. Normally stage 2 decks these days they use the green exploration to find them, but we cannot use green exploration. Well, we could, but it wouldn't be that smart, because literally every Pokemon in this deck has abilities. So you will the occasions, the times you will actually be able to use green are really not that many. Every one of these Pokemon has an ability. The Vikavolt has the Stealthy Body, this has the Discharge, then you have Dance of the Ancient, then Bench Barrier, and of course Stellar Wish. So you would not really have a chance to play you can play the green only if you have only Grabbin in play. And if you have only Grabbin in play, then even that you play green, you get maybe 2 rare candy, then you then you cannot you assuming that you have a Vikavolt that you are going to evolve it, then you cannot play any greens. So it's not that convenient. But the problem with that is that if you start your game your game and you don't have any Jirachi, then that might become quite difficult to win the game, because you need the Jirachi to get supporters, to get the rare candy, to get the lure ball, the nest ball, the ultra, pretty much everything. This deck is really items relying. In fact, we are playing 37 and only 4 energies. So if you start up without any Jirachi, that might be a problem. But anyway, the idea is quite simple. You start with the Jirachi, hopefully, or you have at least a Dene in your end, and then you try to set up a Vikavolt. Then you use the Vikavolt, and if it gets KO'd, or if you have to discard your energy, then you use the Lure Ball to get them back. So let's start talking with the about the items. So we have a counter catcher, which is only it's basically a filler. I had one spot to fill, and I thought about putting it there, putting a counter catcher there, because most of it could be like many times you might go behind in prices because you maybe the opponent is a very fast Reshiram, for example, so you get KO'd many times before you can actually set up a Vikavolt and take the KO. So that's why I put a counter catcher in it, because in such cases in which we are behind, we can just try to delay our opponents by switching the Pokemon that you want from his Pokemon from the active position. So if let's say that he has in the bench he has a Reshiram Charger in the active position and there's a Snorlax, Eevee Snorlax in the back, then you can just switch like the Eevee Snorlax in, and if he doesn't have any switch or Goodsma or any other thing, escape rope or something like that, then he cannot. Then he's stuck with the Eevee Snorlax there. So it lets you the counter catcher will let your opponent choose his move according to this effect to this card. So that's why I think it's quite useful. If you had a plan in mind, you cannot keep following that because you play the counter catcher. So well, just a one copies of it is not too bad. Then we of course we have the 4 electro power, 1 field blower, which nowadays is quite mandatory to have. It's basically mandatory to have at least one of these in pretty much every deck, especially well, for a lightning deck, especially, but not for ours, because normally you are afraid of the lightning charm, fairy charm lightning, that blocks the attack from lightning type GXs, but we are not playing any GX. So yeah, but other than that, the field blower is still quite important. For example, what I the main reason why I'm playing them in any deck now, in every deck, is to get rid of the spell tag when facing the Weezing, for example, and or the wishful batons, well, as long as they are still part of the standard format. But a few decks are playing those, for example, the Blacephalon. So it's a good having a one copy of it, of a field blower. It's yeah, it's highly recommended in pretty much every deck. And then I mentioned the lure ball. I had never seen this item before. I had never seen the lure ball before, and that is because it's not that great. Because you flip coins, and whenever you have to flip the coin, then I'm not too happy about it, because I always get tails. What this card does is simply you flip 3 coins, and for each head you can put an evolution card from your discard pile back into your hand, which sounds amazing if you think about it, and that is the reason why it is played only in this deck, is to get the Charjabug back. So you can get up to 3 Charjabugs, but you don't even need 3. Most of the time you will need either 1 or 2, because you have 1 in your hand. You know that there is 1 in the discard pile. You play this or the Rescue Stretcher, because we have 2 copies of the Rescue Stretcher as well, and you get the Charjabug back, and you're ready to attack once again. So This is the reason why this card is played in this. And to be fair, I still don't like it because it still has the coin flip mechanics involved. For example, I've never gotten more than one head. I always do either three tails or one head and two tails. Never done anything different. I hope that in the video, in the testing video, you will see something different. But to be fair, if you trust me, that never happened before. It's always one head and two tails at most, in the best case scenario. But ideally, the reason why this card is here is pretty clear, and it's to get as many Charjabug as possible back from the discard pile. Then we have the 4 copies of Nest Ball, which of course can be used to get the Grubbins, the Jirachi, the Mew, or whatever basic Pokemon we need. Most of the time it will be the Jirachi if we don't have one, or the Grubbin if we have a Jirachi already. Then the Pokegear. The Pokegear is actually it's an underrated card if you ask me. Like not many decks are playing it, or actually they are all of them are playing like maybe one copy of it. But I do believe that it's actually a powerful card because it lets you look at the top 7 cards of your deck and reveal a supporter card and put it into your hand. Which is quite good. The only reason why it might not be amazing in this deck is that we are not playing that many supporters. We are playing 3, 6, 8 supporter, and that's it. So that's why in this particular deck there are only 2 Pokegears. Because we will be using when we don't have any supporter, or for example when we have a Goodsman, we don't know what to do. We would rather want a Volkner or a Cynthia. So that's why, but it's not vital in this deck. The Pokegear, it's not that like it's not a critical point for the deck to work, and that's why we only have 2. In a deck such as the Guardian, you should see much more, because then they need to have the green exploration, for example, or the builds analysis on whatever. Of course. Then moving on, we have 4 copies of rare candy, and this, of course, as I was saying, because you need to evolve the Grubbin as fast as you can. So the highest chances you get to have to even top deck the rare candy, the better, and the better it is for you. So it could so playing 4 is actually for the best. Also, you have more chances to top deck it. You have more chances to get it from the Cynthias or from the Jirachi. So it's just useful to have more. If we could, for example, if we could play the green exploration, then it might be not necessary to play 4, because you know that you can always get them with the greens, with the green anyway. So it might not be that important to have 4. You can afford 3 maybe, but since we don't play the green exploration, then we need to have as many as we can. Also, one thing that I didn't mention is that the Vikavolt has actually 150 HP. So whenever you are playing against non-GXs, you first of all, most of the time they will be KO'd just with the electric cannon, or maybe with an electro power or something, but not without discarding the energies. And also for non-GXs deck, the Vikavolt can be not that easy to KO. If you think about it, a baby Blacephalon will need to have 6 energies to KO this guy. 3 attached, of course, and 3 in the end. And that is rather easy to these days with the Fire Crystal or Flame Crystal, whatever, and the Fiery Flint. But still, you need to invest some resources with a Blacephalon to KO this guy. And while he can just Electric Cannon and take the KO. So it's much easier for the Vikavolt to KO the Blacephalon rather than the other way around. The Rescue Stretcher fulfill the same purpose of the Lure Ball, except that you can put 3 Pokemon from your discard pile into your deck, which is good because if you have an Ultra Ball maybe already in your hand, you can put 3 Charjabug or Vikavolt that can also be used, of course, for the Vikavolt. You can put 3 of them back into the deck and fetch the one that you need at the moment with the Ultra Ball. So which the Ultra Balls we are playing 3 copies, but yeah, they could have been easily 4. I mean, it's a matter of preferences. Sometimes I tend to not play as dead mini balls or cards like this, because at some point, many times it happens to me to have this in my hand or this and not having any use for them. So that's why I tend to reduce the number. I rarely play 4 balls except for the nest ball, of course, because that is always needed. To have having a bench basic Pokemon is always needed. Whereas the lure ball and the ultra ball, I've seen lists playing 4 ultra ball. Most of the time, people are playing 4 ultra balls and maybe 1 extra lure ball. But yeah, I don't like it. I try to put other cards instead, such as the counter catcher, for example. Then we have 1 copies of Switch. Usually is just if we have the Jirachi and we don't have the escape board, or to perform some other Jirachi shenanigans. So you give it to you use a Stellar Wish, you retreat him, then you switch you use a Stellar Wish, you retreat the Jirachi, maybe because it has the escape board. You promote another Jirachi, you use another Stellar Wish, and then you do switch and attack with a Vikavolt. So that's the usual, as I said, Jirachi shenanigans. You're not that much relying on those here. It's not like the Zapdos Jirachi, in which you plan to do that every turn to move Jirachi back into the bench, promote the Zapdos, and then vice versa every turn. Here you're not that relying on this, but still it could be helpful to do sometimes. The Thunder Mountain, I cannot stress this enough, how important this card is for this deck. It's all so everything seems okay in theory, to having the 2 Charjabugs or and so on and so forth, but it's really not. A lot of times you will not have the Charjabug, you will not, or at least not 2 Charjabugs. You have 1 Ultra Ball, you can get 1 Charjabug, but you cannot get 2. You have 1 Charjabug, you have 2 in the discard pile, you try to get, or 1 in the discard pile. You try to get it with the Lord Ball and you get 3 tails. So there is not, so there are chances in which you will not have the Charjabug, or at least not 2 Charjabug. And this Thunder Mountain comes extremely handy because it reduces the cost of the attack by 1 lightning energy less, by 1 energy, by 1 lightning energy. So which means that you basically need 3 energies to attack now, and 3 energies can be easily fulfilled by 1 Charjabug that you might have and an energy. And the energies, and the lightning energies, of course. And the energy, we have several ways to attach them, or to fetch them anyway. So if we have them in the discard pile, we can attach them with the Tapu Koko, and then evolve to attach them to the Grabbit or Vikavolt or whatever, and then use the Charjabug. If we don't have the Tapu Koko, or we don't have the energy in the discard pile, then we can use Volkner to get them. So it's very, very, very important. This card is extremely strong in this deck. In fact, we are not playing any Shrine of Punishment, because I forgot actually that we have the Electro Power to deal the extra damages. So normally a Reshiram Charizard will not survive, because you just need 2 Electro Power or 1 Electro Power and the Choice Band, so it's doable. It's not that difficult. So that's why we're not playing any Shrine, and which also means that we are not going to win the Stadium Battle most likely. But even if this stays in play for 1 turn, that 1 turn can grant you the KO on the big Tag Team GX, and in the prizes you will get a Charjabug, most likely if they are prized, or some cards to fetch more. It's always good to get huge knockouts for like 3 or 2 prize cards. So, and this Thunder Mantle, even if it stays in play for just 1 turn, it helps doing that. Then as a supporter, it's fairly regular. We have 3 Cynthia, 3 Volkner, and 2 Goodslas. The Cynthias, of course, is when we have extremely bad hand, and also we can pairs it nicely with the Dedenne. But even the Volkner pairs very nice with the Dedenne, because you can actually use the Volkner, get items and the energy, attach the energy, use the item, whatever item you took, and then play the Dedenne. So you not only you get the card that you chose, plus that could be, for example, a rare candy, plus the energy, and then you also get a new end with 6 cards thanks to the Dede chain. So these 2 supporters, but the supporters in general, maybe except for Lily, but these supporters pair exactly, like pair very nice with the Dedenne. The Volkner more than the Cynthia, but the Cynthia is also nice because you can play the Dedenne, then have you can play the Dedenne, use all the cards that you can, and then also play Cynthia if you have it, or if you find it with the Jirachi or something. So what I recommend is to always use the Stellar Wish after having played either the Dedenne or the Cynthia. And then, oh well, it depends on the situation, of course. And we have two good spells, which, yeah, they are good spells. So in case we have a Vikavolt in the bench and our opponent has a big guy in the bench, we can just use Kuzma. And choice band is for the Vikavolt to boost up his damage, in order to get some KOs on once again big guys. And the escape boards are mainly for the Jirachis, of course, to be able to to retreat them for free. Of course, sometimes you might have, if you are me especially, you will find yourself in a very bad situation in which the only Pokemon that you have in the first at the first turn is the Dedenne or the Mew. That both happened, and then you might want to invest one escape board to retreat the guy. Or if you can use the switch, of course, it's much better, or Guzma even, because the escape board you want to keep them for the Jirachi. But if you have no other choice, then it's good to have an option. And then we are playing only 4 energies, because as I said already a few times, you will not need the energies to attack with the Vikavolt, but you're going to use the Charjabug most of the time. So yeah, that's about it. As a if we were to compare, as I've done already a couple of times, compare the non-GX's deck, because I feel that even if the deck that are mostly played are the Reshiram, Charizard, Blacephalon, Pikachu, Zekrom, and whatever, all GXs, I think this is a golden age. It's a golden meta for this kind of deck, for the non-GXs deck, because there are so many good non-GX attackers. Say the Vikavolt, say the Blacephalon, say the Weezing, say the Turtonator. So there are so many good non-GX attackers, and whenever you play against a GX, a Dark Team GX based deck, then you always have one big advantage, which is in the price race you're never going to, ever going to lose. So every time you take a KO, you take 3 prizes or 2 prizes, and every time they do, they only take 1. So it's a huge advantage. And I named these attackers because the decks based on them, the non-GX one, they are the fastest. That's about it. So this deck is fairly fast. The Blacephalon is fairly fast. The Weezing a little bit less, but it has another way of being obnoxious for the GXs. So my personal opinion is that this is a good time to play a non-GX deck and have some results with it. And this is one of them. Then we will see later on others. But this is one example. This is the first one that I'm showing. Against who this deck suffers, except for all the non-GX, because for the non-GXs is when you face a non-GX against a non-GX, then it becomes really a matter of who is able to set up faster. In this deck you have a liability, which is the Dedenne. I mean, a liability when facing a non-GX deck, because the opponent can just Guzma him in the active and take the KO. He will get 2 prizes, and then he might go ahead in the prize race, because it's very easy to KO the Dedenne for those guys that I mentioned before. For any of those, it's quite easy. So when it comes to non-GX against non-GX, having a support, a tech card, which is a GX, like the Dedenne, that can be a liability. So I would that is in the matchup, in the non-GX matchup, that might be putting this deck in an unfavorable position. But then again, the main deciding factor is whoever is able to get the KO first. Because if you are able to get the KO on a Blacephalon at the beginning, then, for example, or against a Weezing or whatever, then you can also play the Dedenne safely, because you might be able to go ahead in the prize by at least 1 or 2. So even if it takes 2 by KOing or your opponent takes 2 by KOing the Dedenne, you will still either even or you are still ahead. So yeah, that's about it. Overall, I think this deck is quite good, and also is using a Vikavolt. It features a Vikavolt. What else do you want from this game? All right, lads, that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like and comment, subscribe to the channel, and follow us on all the other social media because they are quite important. Especially Twitter, we announce every giveaway or whatever, and also whenever a new video is up, you will see it there. So make sure to subscribe to our Twitter account. You can find the link in the description, and also Twitch. There were no streams this week, but yeah, the last week there were no streams, but normally we do stream during weekdays and weekend as well. So that's it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.